Hello guys, today we are again here and we are starting today a new topic, that is classification of directive principles of state policy, right? In earlier lecture we had done what are directive principles of state policy. Okay, so today we will do their classification, right? Now the directive principles of state policy have been classified into three classes. Okay, first of all, let me tell you one thing, that our constitution does not classify these directive principles itself. Okay, constitution of our country does not classify them, but it is we are classifying the directive principles of state policy. Okay, so we have classified directive principles of state policy into three classes, that is socialistic, Gandhian and liberal intellectual. Okay, first we will do socialistic directive principles. Now constitution has given the directive principles in a way that they are serial wise and they do not differentiate between whether they are socialistic, Gandhian or liberal intellectual or something else. They simply run in a chronology, they simply run point wise, but for our facilitation we have classified into these three classes. We have classified so that we can learn them easily, right? We can learn them easily and it is easy to comprehend them, right? So the first is socialistic. Now as you know that socialistic simply means in our country we have a socialism called democratic socialism. We do not have pure socialism like it is there in China or Russia, but we have democratic socialism. Okay, now this socialism, democratic socialism, basically aims for a welfare state in India, okay, in which welfare of the people is visualized. Okay, so in socialistic principles, all the directive principles will try to have a welfare state. Okay, got it? All the directive principles in this first head will have what? Will have a welfare orientation for the people of the country or the citizens of India. Right? Let us have a view on the first point of socialistic principle, socialistic directive principle. The first point is Article 39, Article 38, and it says that socio-economic political justice. Okay, the Constitution of India tries to aim for socio-economic and political justice for the people of India. So what it means? It means that the Constitution aims for providing the citizens of India justice. What type of justice? Socio-economic justice and political justice. Okay, so three types of justice is being visualized: social justice, economic justice and political justice. Okay, now I already told you in another lecture that what is social justice. Okay, you can also think over it, what is social justice. Justice means equality, and what is social justice? It simply means when there is equality in the society, it means social justice. So the first directive principles, Article 38, simply says that the Constitution aims for providing social equality, social justice. Similarly, in economic justice, the Constitution aims for what? Providing equal money to the citizens of India. Now this is a little bit difficult to understand. Why? Because the Constitution does not provide money, but our system is such that everybody earns money, whether through job or whether through business or whether through trade. Everybody earns money. No, the Constitution aims for the government to have such policies in the country, which have economic justice in them. For example, For example, our tax system, income tax system, it is low on the poor and high on the rich. Why? Because poor people have less income and rich people have high income. So when rich people will pay high tax, they will lose their money. And when the poor people will not pay tax, like agriculturalists or exempted from income tax, so when the poor people will not pay tax, what will happen? They will retain their money with themselves, right? So economic justice is what? Economic justice is having such and such policies in the country which will ensure equality of income for the people of India or citizens of India. Now political justice. Political justice means giving everybody equal political rights, like for women, for men, equal political rights. It should not be that like this, that men should have more political rights than women. Okay, so everybody who is above 18 years of age, whether men or women, should have the right to does have the right to vote and to get elected in any part of the country, in village panchayat, in municipal corporation, in MLA, MLC election, or in MP election. Okay, so these are the three justices which are strived in Article 38 of the Directive Principles chapter. Okay, now it is okay. I will send you the photograph of this board, and this is the first point written. The space was less here, so I have written the second point here. So the second point is to secure. Now the second point has various sub points in it: A, B, C, D, E and F. Okay, so 6 points are there within the second point itself. Okay, so the second point says that to secure, the directive principle here says that the constitution wants to secure. First of all, let me tell you one more thing, that this is Article 39, right? Article 39 it is. Earlier it was Article 38 in the first point, now it is in the second point, it is Article 39. Okay, and it says to secure right to adequate means of livelihood. Right to adequate means of livelihood. Livelihood means the things needed for living, especially money. So our country, our nation, our policies will try to secure to the citizens of India the right to adequate means of livelihood. Okay, the policies should be made in such a way, the policies should be made by the governments in such a way that the citizens of India get the right to adequate means of livelihood. Okay, now coming to the B point here, second part B point, okay, in the socialistic directive principles. So this B part says to secure equitable distribution of material resources of country for the common good. Okay, to secure equitable distribution. Now what is this equitable? Equitable means equal. Distribution means like distributing the resources, material resources. Now as you know that India has various resources with itself. Okay, India has minerals, India has different resources, like different mines are there where from things are extracted. Okay, we in certain places we have coal, in certain places we have gold in Karnataka, where in certain places we have silver, in certain places we have rich spices. Okay, especially in South India. In certain places we have coconut, in certain places we have like different things are there in different parts of India, and these things which are there are called resources. Okay, so these now in the northeast rainfall is there, so tea is grown in the northeast, and in not in the northwest. Northwest is Rajasthan side is desert area. Okay, so in Punjab food grains are there in much more quantity. So the government's job is to distribute these food grains all over India. Okay, so the job of the government is to have collect the resources from all over India and to distribute them among different states equitably, so that Indian states and different parts of India grow equally. It should not be the case that South India grows more rapidly than North India, or this should not be the aim of the government. Okay, so the aim of the government should be equal growth of every region of the country. So for that, what is needed? For that, this is needed: equitable distribution of natural resources of community for the common good. Common good is good for all. Okay, this is the second point. Now C point: prevention of concentration of wealth. Okay, concentration of wealth. Okay, this is C point. Now what is concentration of wealth? Concentration of wealth means when the wealth is concentrated in fewer hands in the country. For example, in our country or in any other country, rich people have more wealth than the poor people. So we also say that 5% people have more wealth than 95% people in our country. Okay, this is correct or not? This is correct. Okay, so the government aim is to reduce this gap. The aim of the government is to reduce this gap. Okay, now how the government has to reduce this gap? It is up to the government to frame different policies for reducing this gap. Okay, so the aim of the government is to secure prevention. Here you have to pay attention to this word, prevention. That is not allowing concentration of wealth in fewer hands. Okay, now this was the C point. This means of production should not be there. Okay, now after C point, here comes the D point, and it says equal pay for equal work for men and women. Okay, equal pay for equal work. When a man does a work somewhere, he gets a particular pay, and a woman does the same work, she should also get the pay which is given to the men. So men and women should get equal pay in our country, and there should not be any distinction between the wages or the pays or the salaries of men and women. That is to say, women should not be discriminated against as far as wages payment is concerned or salary payment is concerned. So men and women should be given equal wages, equal salaries in the country. This should be the aim of the government. It is said by directive principles of state policies. Coming to the next point, E point, and it says that preservation of health of the workers. Now here the health of the workers and the children becomes very important. Government should make such policies that the health of the people working somewhere, whether in private firms or in government firms, their health is protected, and they are not abused. They are not abused here means For example, the labor is not made to work for 16 hours a day, for 20 hours a day, and the labor is not getting proper sleep, labor is not getting proper time for lunch, labor is not getting time for having tea to take rest. So the aim of the directive principle is to prevent these things to happen, like to prevent the abuse of the workers as far as their health is concerned. Okay, so the aim of the government should be to reduce this thing, not to reduce, but to prevent this thing from happening, prevent abuse from happening, and their health should be maintained. It should be the goal of the government, and this is set by directive principles of state policy. Coming to the last point, that is F point, opportunities for healthy development of children, article 39 may use. So prevention, so I mean to say opportunities for healthy development of children. In our country, opportunities should be there for healthy development of the children. For example, providing free schooling for them, providing them with midday meal. We are doing this. Government had made these policies earlier, providing midday meal, providing free schooling to them because of this directive principle only. Okay, so here the directive principle in the F point says that the aim of the government should be to have healthy development of children in the country. These are the points in point number 5 and in point number 2 in the socialistic directive principles. Coming to the next point.